part of the harassing communications was you sending a picture.
No.
That makes me lose respect for Marcus.
If it was true.
I assumed it was true.
You assumed it was?
Now that he's saying that it's not true, how do you feel about it?
I don't know if I believe Marcus.
You don't believe me? I've been a liar about things that we've been through over the years, and a lot of experiences that you've had with me. I've been a liar.
Yeah.
Sometimes the loudest pain isn't the kind you hear in words. It's the kind you feel in the pauses, in the tension behind a smile, in the moments when someone insists they're okay, but their eyes tell a completely different story. And lately, that's exactly the energy surrounding Marsau Scott. To the world, he's been standing firm, speaking with confidence, presenting himself as a man who knows his truth, a husband, a businessman, a public figure who seems unshaken even as rumors swirl around him. But then came the claims, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the suggestion that behind everything people thought they knew, there was a deeper story waiting to be told. And just like that, the narrative shifted.
Now about my family, go ahead. And I'm gonna see how true Tisha gonna stand on what she's not gonna accept in a marriage.
You said we weren't doing that.
Definitely.
There's nothing that Markel's gonna bring out the phone.
Bring it out.
That's actually gonna show.
It is.
Show what you gotta show.
Show it.
Show it. Show what you gotta show.
You show it.
No.
Oh,
You got your woman too.
He the one talking about my family. What the talking about?
What you got in your phone?
You show what you was talking about. What you talking about?
Between me and you. Yeah.
This is a conversation between me, you, and her.
Okay, show it.
Please show it.
Because while Marsau is telling his side, the internet isn't just listening quietly. It's questioning, it's analyzing, it's picking apart every word, every expression, every moment that doesn't quite add up. And what nobody expected was that this wouldn't just be a story about betrayal. It would become a story about perception, truth, and whether the person claiming heartbreak is actually the one who broke something first. To really understand why this situation feels so complicated, you have to go back before the tension, before the headlines, before social media turned into a courtroom of opinions, back to when Marsau and his wife were seen as one of those couples who had something real, something solid enough to survive the pressures of public life. Their relationship didn't start under bright lights or constant scrutiny. It was built in a space where things felt normal, where love wasn't something you had to defend to strangers online. They were partners in the truest sense, building a life, raising a family, chasing goals that required patience, sacrifice, and trust. Marsau, from the beginning, carried himself as a man with a plan. He was driven, focused, always thinking about the bigger picture. The kind of person who believed success wasn't just about money, it was about legacy. And in his mind, his marriage was part of that legacy.
Where's your wife at? She my favorite on the show? Go find her then. Shit, where's Tisha at? Tisha getting pampered. Yesterday's her birthday.
Let me check my goddamn
Right, because I know I got a private investigator following her little cheating ass. So I'm gonna find out because she wanna. Tisha ain't the kind of person that be sitting there taking that shit. She wanna just get back. She wanna cheat back. So I gotta watch her.
His wife stood beside him through those early stages, supporting his ambitions, believing in his vision even when the path wasn't clear. Their bond looked like teamwork, like stability, like something people could look at and say, that's what it's supposed to be. But even strong foundations can develop cracks when pressure builds over time. And the pressure, it didn't come all at once. It came slowly, quietly. At first, it was just the normal challenges of life, busy schedules, responsibilities, the constant balancing act between work and family. Then came the cameras, the attention, the expectations that come with being on a show where your life isn't just yours anymore. Because once your relationship becomes entertainment, everything changes. Moments that used to be private become public discussions. Disagreements turn into storylines. And suddenly, you're not just dealing with each other, you're dealing with opinions from thousands of people who think they know your truth better than you do. And that kind of pressure can either bring people closer or slowly pull them apart.
What made you lose respect for me? Because what you're saying right now isn't even true. So I'm up here telling you what the truth is, and you still say that you have no respect for me. So I'm saying, okay, it must be something deeper. So what is it?
For Marsau, the image he presented stayed consistent, confident, composed, in control, even when questions started to surface. Questions about loyalty, about behavior, about whether everything behind the scenes was as solid as it appeared. At first, those questions were easy to brush off. Rumors are part of the territory when you're in the public eye. People talk, they assume, they create narratives without evidence. And for a while, Marsau leaned into that understanding. He dismissed the noise, stood by his marriage, and continued to move like everything was under control.
But here's the thing about rumors. They don't disappear when they're ignored. They grow. And over time, those whispers turned into louder conversations. Social media started connecting dots, fans began revisiting old clips, analyzing interactions, pointing out moments that suddenly felt suspicious in hindsight. And still, Marsau held his ground. Until recently. Because what nobody expected was that he would step forward, not to deny everything, not to laugh it off, but to speak from a place that sounded different, a place of hurt, a place of betrayal.
If I'm your woman and you are my man, when I ask you for something, why the hell you get mad?
He started opening up about feeling misunderstood, about carrying a weight that people didn't see, about being painted as something he claims he's not. And just like that, the narrative flipped from accusations against him to him suggesting that he was the one who had been wronged. But here's the twist. The internet wasn't ready to accept that shift without questions. Because for years, the storyline surrounding Marsau hasn't been one of a man quietly suffering in the background. It's been filled with speculation about his actions, his choices, his loyalty. So when he began to position himself as the one dealing with heartbreak, people didn't just listen, they pushed back, hard. They started asking, how can someone accused of causing pain now be the one claiming it? And that's where things got complicated. Because heartbreak isn't always simple, it's not always one-sided, and sometimes the same story can have two completely different versions depending on who's telling it. According to Marsau, there's more to his experience than what's been shown, more to his emotions than what people have assumed. He's hinted at feeling unsupported, misunderstood, even betrayed in ways that haven't fully been explained. But the lack of detail, that's what's fueling the skepticism. Because when you make a claim like that, when you suggest that you've been hurt deeply, people want specifics. They want clarity. They want something they can hold on to and say, okay, now I understand. Instead, what they're getting feels incomplete. And in that space of uncertainty, the internet does what it always does. It fills in the blanks. Some people believe him. They see a man who might have been carrying silent pain, someone who stayed quiet while the world built a narrative around him that didn't reflect his reality. But others, they're not convinced. They're looking at the timeline, the past rumors, the patterns that don't seem to match the current claims, and they're asking whether this is truth or strategy. Because let's be honest, public perception matters. And when your image has been under pressure for a long time, changing that narrative can feel necessary. So the question becomes, is Marsau finally telling his truth, or is he trying to reshape how people see him? That tension, the space between what's said and what's believed, is really where this story lives. And it's not just affecting how people view him, it's affecting everything around him. Because when you bring heartbreak into the conversation, especially publicly, it doesn't stay contained. It touches your marriage, your family, your reputation, the way people interact with you, the way they speak about you, the way they interpret everything you do moving forward.
And for Marsau, that impact is becoming impossible to ignore. Every interview, every appearance, every moment he speaks, it's all being analyzed through this new lens. People are watching closely, not just for what he says, but for what he doesn't say. They're reading between the lines, looking for consistency, searching for truth in the details. And that kind of scrutiny, it can be exhausting, because no matter what he says, there's always going to be someone questioning it, someone challenging it, someone refusing to accept it at face value. And over time, that kind of pressure can start to wear you down. It can make you second-guess yourself, make you wonder if speaking out was the right choice, make you question whether telling your side of the story actually helps or just opens the door to more criticism. But at the same time, staying silent isn't easy either, because silence allows other people to control the narrative. And maybe that's what Marsau is trying to take back. Control. Control over how his story is told. Control over how he's perceived. Control over a situation that for a long time has felt like it was being defined by everyone except him. But here's the reality. Control doesn't guarantee understanding. And right now, understanding is exactly what feels out of reach. Because for every person who listens to him and feels empathy, there's another person who listens and feels doubt. For every moment that seems genuine, there's a question about whether it's complete. And that divide, it's not going away anytime soon. The emotional weight of all this is bigger than just headlines or social media debates. It's personal, it's real. It's the kind of situation that can affect how someone sees themselves, how they trust others, how they move forward in their relationships. If Marsau truly feels betrayed, that pain doesn't just disappear because people question it. It lingers, it shapes his perspective, it influences how he responds to everything around him. But at the same time, the skepticism he's facing isn't coming from nowhere. It's built on years of public moments, conversations, and perceptions that people can't just forget overnight. And that's the hardest part of this entire situation. Two things can exist at the same time. He can feel hurt, and people can still question why. So where does that leave him? Somewhere in the middle. Between defending his truth and trying to prove it, between expressing his emotions and managing how they're received, between wanting understanding and facing doubt. And that's not an easy place to be. Because no matter what direction he chooses, whether he continues to open up or decides to step back, there's going to be a reaction. There's always a reaction. But maybe the real story here isn't just about whether Marsau was betrayed. Maybe it's about what happens when someone tries to rewrite a narrative that's already been written in the minds of the public. Because once people believe they understand your story, changing that perception becomes one of the hardest things you can do. And sometimes, no matter how real your feelings are, they still won't be enough to convince everyone. So now the question isn't just about what happened behind closed doors. It's about what happens next. Does he continue to speak, hoping that eventually people will see his side more clearly? Or does he accept that some minds won't change no matter what he says? Either way, one thing is certain. This story isn't over. Because when heartbreak, reputation, and public opinion collide like this, the ending is never simple. And the truth? It's still somewhere in the middle, waiting to be fully understood.